friends, if you want to hear something scary, don't scroll. All right, so this happened a few years ago when my friend and I were driving home in like the middle of the night. I think it was like 1 or 2 a.m. or something like that. It was really dark outside. We were driving home. We lived in a town that was kind of like rural, and like if you know anything about rural towns, you know that the roads are like trees on both sides all the time, always. It's like a tunnel of road and trees and maybe a sporadic house here and there. I was taking her home for the night. Driving in the middle of the night, no, there's no other cars, the road is desolate, it's just us and our music and the grace of God. As we're like making our way up there's like a hill that gets to her house, and then you go down the hill and then you turn to get to her street, which is like a really long dirt driveway to get to her house, whatever. We're making our way up this hill, right? And we're coming up like around it. And then we see this woman in white, dressed all in white with like long, ratty, black hair, straight down, just all disgusting. Like think of The Grudge and then put the images on the side of the street. You know, next to a bunch of fucking trees in the middle of the night, just in the dim light of your fucking car lights, your car headlights. So we saw that. But yeah, no, this woman literally, she had no shoes on. She had like this long white, it looked like a nightgown. Like dead ass, this picture of The Grudge. Like, think of that. This is what I think of right now when I want to describe what I saw on the side of the road. We were just trying to like think of like what it could have been. Like we were like, why is she out there? So we turned around a little bit just to like go backtrack and see if she's still gonna be there or not. She is. We slow down, and when we slow down, she turns her fucking head towards the car, and bitch, I swear to God, she had no face. It had no face. It had no fucking face. We saw a lady on the side of the road with no face. Barefoot, nightgown, no face. We turned around so fast and drove all the way to her fucking mom's house, which was literally like right down the road. I had to drop her off and drive all the way back to my house alone. She wasn't there on the way back. She was only there on the way to her house and when we turned around the first time. But then on my way back, she wasn't, I don't know. Honestly, I thought that like maybe it was like a woman whose like car got broken down, or like maybe she like escaped some kind of psycho house. Like we live out in the middle of fucking nowhere. There's probably a psycho house in the middle of the woods somewhere where we fucking live. I've come across one. Maybe I'll tell that story next. But I digress. Weird shit happens in the middle of nowhere. Literally. Courage the Cowardly Dog was right about that one. Weird shit happens in the middle of nowhere. But it makes for good storytelling. Anyways, be careful out there, guys.
As many of you know, I grew up in deep Appalachia. I now live in Atlanta, Georgia, and there are times where I'll tell my friends stories from what happened to me when I lived out there, and they're like, what? I already posted about my UFO story last year, and that video got to like 3 million views. But today, I'm going to tell you guys the story of when I was a kid and I encountered a skinwalker, or at least what I thought was a skinwalker. I hate long intros, so I'm just going to get into the story. The place I lived was a place called Jasper, Georgia. It's right next to LJ. And I lived in the place where the show Squidbillies was based on, and we have a Squidbillies shrine in our town center. I had a friend that I would stay with pretty often, and her family owned a 300-acre farm. And when I say family, it's just her and her mom who live there. And so they have like all these farm animals, and they have different parts of their land that you have to walk through trails in the woods to get through. Like, in order to get to one barn, you have to walk through the woods for like 10 minutes just to get there. So there was one day that I was sleeping over there, and we had been home alone all day. I was probably in 3rd grade when this happened. Some of you might ask why me and my friend were just like 2 3rd graders alone on this farm. And it was because my parents were getting a divorce, and so I needed a place to go, so I pretty much lived with this girl at the time. But back to the story. So my friend's mom was on the way home, but I guess there was like a lot of traffic, or she was running late or something. So she called my friend and she asked her if we could like go down to one of the barns and feed the horses before we went to bed. So at this point in time, it was probably like 8 o'clock, the sun was going down. It was about to be nighttime. You could still see the sun and the light when you're in the open field, but in the woods, it was like pretty dark. Like there was no sunlight. So my friend and I started walking through the pasture to the woods, and she had a flashlight with her. We got to the woods, she turned the flashlight on, and we started walking. We were walking for maybe like 3 or 4 minutes through these woods, so we're about halfway through the trail, and we're just talking about some shit and laughing. And then all of a sudden, my friend just stops talking, and like I was kind of just like looking at her, like as we were speaking. I wasn't really looking in front of me. And then she just like drops the flashlight and starts sprinting in the opposite direction, like back to the house. And so I was like, "You okay, Rebecca?" And because that was her name. And I turn and I see her sprinting, and the flashlight was just like on the floor in front of me. And I was like, what the fuck? So I turned back in front of me, and I just see like maybe like 10 feet away this gigantic like white figure. And I didn't look at it for long, but just like the sheer height of this thing, whatever the fuck it was, scared me so badly that I looked at it and immediately was like fight or flight mode. Like I felt danger. So right when I looked at it, I turned the other way and fucking booked it. I was running faster than I'd ever ran before. So fast that I passed my friend, and I was like running and pissing my pants at the same time. Like that's how fucking scary it was. And so I ran all the way back to her house, and in my brain I was like, what is the one place I can hide right now where no one will find me? And the only thing I could think of was like I just ran to the laundry room and I got in the dryer. And so I was just sitting in the dryer, and it was like one of those old school dryers. It wasn't like plastic clear cover, so it was just like a white door that closes it from the front. And so I was just in there. I was like curled up in a ball, and I waited like, I don't know, what seemed like 15-20 minutes. I was just in there covered in piss. And eventually I thought that whatever the fuck was in the woods had like killed my friend, and so I was just crying and like I was freaking out, but I was also terrified and didn't want to die, so I was just sitting in there. And then eventually my friend walks through the door, and I can tell that she's crying and she's like hyperventilating. She's like like I hear that. And so I open the dryer, and she's like scared when I open it, obviously. And I was just like also crying, and we hug each other, and I was like, where did you go? And so she told me that she had ran and she got into like this trailer that was kind of near the house, because it was the only place she could think of to hide. And so we were both hiding, and I guess she just like mustered up the courage to run to the main house. And so we were both just like trying to explain what we saw and like put together whatever the fuck that was. And this was like 2008, maybe 2009. So I think I was like 12 or something when this happened, but this was way before like creepypasta or like any of these stories were like even around. So we couldn't even put a name to like what the fuck we saw out there. And so when her mom finally got home, we tried to explain what just happened, and she just like dismissed us, and she was like, you girls are just like overreacting. You guys saw a bear or like a deer or something, which is still terrifying if we saw a bear, but it definitely was not a bear, because this thing was like pure white. And in the dark, it's like the only thing you can really see is like, if there's someone standing in front of you with a white t-shirt, like you're gonna see that. But this thing was completely white, and that's all I remember is just like this gigantic, like 7 or 8 foot tall thing just like standing right in front of me, staring at me. And so I'm not friends with this girl anymore. I haven't talked to her in probably like 15 years. But I just remember that story, and I remember being so scared that I pissed myself. And the only thing I could think of that being is like a skinwalker. So maybe that is a skinwalker. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that story. I've never told that on here, so I hope you guys were entertained and enjoyed it. And maybe got scared. But anyways, later this week I'm going to post another story about the Appalachian feral people. Because I think I also had an experience with that when I was younger. There was a lot of weird shit that happened. But yeah, thank you guys.
Okay, so I'm back with another story time. This is my personal story time, and it's a scary story time. Well, I guess you could call it scary. But I recorded this video like 6 times on my phone. And for some reason, it's just not recording it. Like when I finish doing the whole video, it's just disappearing. So I'm going to record it on my iPad. It's the day of my grandma's funeral. I was like 7, 8, or 9. I don't know which number. I just know I was between those ages. So, we in the city at my grandma from my mother's side of the family now. Right? We at her house. And my parents asked me if I wanted to go to my grandma's funeral. She was my dad's mom. So, I'm like, at that age, I didn't really like funerals like that, so I didn't want to go because I just didn't like funerals like that. Plus, it was just like I was in a good mood, I was a kid, I was playing, and then I didn't want to go and be sad for the rest of the day. So my parents was like, okay, cool, we're not going to force you to come. So they go. I'm not sure if they brought all my other siblings because they was way younger than me. But fast forward to like 7, 8 at night, right? So now we at my grandmother that passed away's apartment. Everybody is there. When I tell you everybody, I mean everybody, even family members that I probably never even met before. It's so many of us in the house that, like, not all of us could sit, but we're all in the living room. Some of us are standing. Some of us are, like, kind of in the living room, but kind of in the kitchen because it's right beside each other. But, yeah, so we all chilling. We talking about my grandmother. And everybody's talking about, like, the stuff that they loved about her. Also, the stuff that they didn't understand why she did or why she said or anything like that. Like, everybody's sharing a memory they had with her, talking about the bittersweet moments. Now, there's a phone that's in the living room, and then she had her own phone in her room. And her room wasn't too far from the living room. Like, you could see if somebody went in her room. Nobody was in her room. Like I said, everybody was in the living room. So in the middle of us talking, we get interrupted by a call. And the call is coming from the phone in her room. So everybody's just looking at the phone for like a good 5 seconds quietly. Like, whoever was talking just stopped talking. And my dad does not like stuff like that. So he's just looking at the phone and he's telling everybody do not answer it. But, my mom being the complete opposite of him, curiosity girl, she over here like, yeah, answer the phone. So, and then me being the age I was, wanting to always play fucking scary games, I'm over here like, yeah, like, answer the phone. We answer the phone, and when we answer the phone, all you can hear is air, because it's like one of those old-fashioned Hispanic people phones. Well, so if you know, you know. Okay, don't take that personal. But, yeah, so you don't hear talking, you don't hear whispering, you don't hear breathing, you don't hear movement, you don't hear nothing, you just hear the air. So we on the phone for like a good minute, like 60 seconds. We on the phone and we didn't hang up because my aunt had placed the phone onto the table. The phone hangs up by itself. So that means whoever was on the other line hung up the phone. But I personally think that was my grandmother calling us because, like I said, we was talking about her. We was talking about good things and bad things. But we laughing at it and shit. And she called like, y'all in my motherfucking house talking about me. I'm still here. So, yeah, that's my little scary story time. My mom, though, she has scary stories for days. Like, her scary stories is some shit that should be in a movie. But if y'all want those two, just let me know.
Can we show them the older homestead?
Yeah, let's go.
You know? No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
It went to both.
Yeah.
So if you didn't know, I grew up in Appalachia and things can get a little scary. That being said, somebody sent me an email this week and their story is centered in Appalachia. And forewarning, this story is so scary, I was literally terrified the entire time. So without further ado, grab your favorite tea and settle in while I tell you a scary story, because of course, this is Tea After Midnight. This story comes from Ashley. I live in the Appalachian Mountains, and believe me, I have heard and seen some pretty creepy things in my time of living here. This happened about 8 years ago. My husband suggested we go on a hike to enjoy the beautiful fall weather we were having. I said yes, as I love to go look at the changing leaves every fall. We got all of our gear together and loaded up into the car. We also took our golden retriever, Bella, with us. She loved to go on hikes. We drove for about 30 minutes before we arrived at our favorite access point to get onto the trail. We grabbed our packs and I clipped Bella's leash on and we began walking into the forest. We all were having the best time just taking in the beautiful scenery of the leaves falling. Bella in particular, as she would always try to catch the leaves in her mouth. We were probably 45 minutes deep into the forest when we heard a scream. It sounded like a human, but a little off. Like whatever was screaming was trying to imitate a human. Growing up in the Appalachian Mountains, there are certain rules you follow to ensure your safety. If you see something, no you didn't. If you hear something, no you didn't. If something whistles, you do not whistle back. And you most certainly do not go looking for the things making these noises. Growing up in Appalachia, these rules are second nature to me. But to my husband, who did not grow up here and was a native to California, he did not remember the rules that I told him. As soon as we hear the scream, he darts off into the woods to help the person making these noises. I screamed for him to stop, but he didn't listen. He kept charging through the forest trying to find the person who screamed. Panic started to set in, but I couldn't let him go off by himself, so I ran after him. Bella was terrified and would not follow me. She kept pulling me back with her leash as I tried to run, but she didn't want to go. Which in the grand scheme of things, I don't blame her for being terrified. I bent down and scooped the 60-pound dog up and began running after my husband. I can see him running and looking in every direction trying to find the source of that scream. I yelled out his name and told him to stop right now. He stopped and turned around to face me. I caught up to him and grabbed his arm. I repeated the rules to him and told him to listen to the sound of that scream and tell me if he thinks it sounds human. Luckily, the thing screamed one more time, and this time it sounded very distorted. The scream sounded more creature-like than human. I looked my husband in the eyes and I saw tears welling up. He responded with, "That is definitely not human." I pulled his arm and started leading him back toward the trail, trying to be as silent as we could. Still holding Bella in my arms, I could feel her shaking. My husband grabbed Bella from me and told me to go in front because he didn't want whatever was behind us to sneak up on me. I saw the trail in front of us, and when I turned to tell my husband it was just up ahead, I see Bella gritting her teeth off to the side where we were walking. She started to low growl and push against my husband like she wanted down, making it impossible for him to carry her. He sat her on the ground and she got in front of both my husband and I and started to growl like I'd never seen her do. She was bearing down like she was ready to defend us if anything came our way. We all backed up slowly onto the trail, Bella still gritting her teeth. Just then I heard a few voices from behind me on the trail. I turned to see a couple walking at a fast pace, beginning to pass us. They were walking back down the trail, heading toward the small parking lot at the beginning of the trail access point. Then the woman stopped and asked me if we heard a scream. I looked at her with utter shock and said yes, we did. She said they did too, and that it didn't sound human. It sounded like something was trying to sound human. I told her we thought the same thing and that we all needed to get out of there as quickly as possible. With no hesitation from anyone, my husband picked Bella up and we started to fast walk down the trail until eventually we got back to our cars. The closer we got back to the cars, the more calm Bella became. Finally, back at the car, my husband put Bella in the car and she seemed totally fine. We spoke to the couple for a second as we told them we had never heard anything quite like that before. The woman, however, said she had when she was younger. Apparently, she grew up in the Appalachian Mountains as well, and growing up, her and her cousin were playing in the woods of their grandparents' home. That's when they heard a scream similar to the one we all heard that day. Her cousin went to check it out, but said it sounded like it was getting farther and farther away. Then the cousin came back screaming and pulled her back to the house saying she saw something but didn't know how to describe it. And to that day wouldn't speak about it and would change the subject if it was brought up. All of us freaked out. We got into our cars and headed back home. My husband and I have not been hiking since. We really don't like to talk about it as it's truly so haunting. I've heard and seen some weird things in Appalachia, but this story takes the cake for me. Ashley, that is absolutely terrifying. I'm so glad that y'all are okay, because I feel like after reading this, that could have went a completely different way. And you are 100% right about the rules. If you see something, no you didn't. And if you hear something, no you didn't. And you certainly don't go searching for whatever made that noise, because I promise you, if you go looking, you're going to find something you don't want to see. But that concludes this episode of Tea After Midnight. If any of you have a personal scary story you want to share with me, I would love to read it. You can either comment on the video, or if you want, you can email me, and the email is going to be in the caption of this video. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful night, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
This man right here literally met a jinn and even talked with him. The man you're looking at right now was a famous scholar from Saudi Arabia called Ibn Baz, and he basically used to teach people the religion of Islam. Hundreds of students will gather around him every day in the school where he used to teach to basically learn stuff about religion. And this school basically functions like a college, okay? Students will learn during the day, and when it's late, they go to their dorms to basically sleep, normally. But everything changes one day. One of the many students that this scholar had was basically a duo, so two friends who always were together. One of them was Khalid, like the DJ, and the other one was Omar. So, like I told you, these two were always together, okay? They even slept in the same dorm. They were basically twins. The only difference is Khalid is from this area, okay? But Omar is a foreign. He actually comes from Africa. And I didn't say this for nothing, okay? I need you to remember this detail because it's gonna become really important when the story becomes scary. You see, one day Omar and Khalid woke up, they had their breakfast, and then they immediately went to the scholar. And when they made it there, the scholar started teaching. Omar and Khalid were taking notes, basically studying. And then when he finished, they both decided to go back to the dorm so they can get some rest. They finally made it back to the dorm, and each one of them is ready to sleep. But here, something happened that will change literally everything. See, meanwhile, they were both laying in their bed ready to sleep. They both noticed something. The room's door is not closed, and it needs to be. So Omar, who was here, decided to ask Khalid. He was like, Khalid, ayo bro, can you please close the door? So Khalid's response was, nah bro, I'm sorry to tell you this, but there is no way. Bro, are we serious? You're closer to the door than I am. The door is literally 2 steps far from you. Yeah, but you see, the point is, I'm so tired, okay? It doesn't matter, 1 step, 100. I'm so tired, there's no way I'm getting up. Can you do it, please? Alright, man. You know what, I guess. Thank you, bro. I'm really sorry. I appreciate your effort, bro. I owe you one. I'm sorry. Again, thank you so... Thank you so much. You see, when Omar closed the door, Khalid was so shocked. He was so shocked to the point where he couldn't sleep that night. If you're asking why was Khalid so scared and traumatized at that moment, well, here is why. You see, when Omar tried to close the door, he didn't even touch it. Yes, he closed it from very far just by pulling his hand, thinking that Khalid was not watching, but he was. Another way to say it, Omar didn't close the door with his hands by pulling it like other people, like normal people. No, he just came close and controlled it. Back to Khalid, when he saw that, he reacted like, that's it, I swear to God, I'm telling this caller tomorrow. After closing the door and while going back to his bed, Omar was like, hey yo bro, you made me close the door, huh? There is nothing to do about it, but don't worry, I got this. Good night, bro. Good night, good night. So, like I told you, Khalid didn't sleep the whole night because he was scared. He waited till the sunrise and then boom. Immediately went to the scholar. He was like, you will not believe what I just saw. The scholar said, okay, what's going on? Tell me. Yesterday, I was in a dorm with Omar and he closed the door without even touching it. I'm not even lying. Are you sure? I'm telling you, I promise you, I know what I saw. Okay, since he did that, Omar is a jinn. He's a what? Yes, you heard me well. Can you please call him and tell him to come alone? You can go. Okay, I will call him. You see, when Omar came, the scholar started the discussion by saying, promise me you will not lie. Swear to God you will not lie. Omar was like, yeah, I swear to God I'm not lying. What's going on? Okay, since you sworn, are you a human or a jinn? I'm asking you a question. Again, are you a human or a jinn? Respond. This is where Omar shocked everybody by saying that he was a jinn. Yes, he admitted that he was not human. He's taking the form of a human, but he's not one. When the scholar heard that, he said something to Omar. He said, wherever you do, stay in your human form. Do not reveal your real form here. He was so smart and quick by saying that because if a jinn reveals his real form, nobody will survive from their ugliness. After that, Omar will reveal that he was here for good intentions and he will never do such thing. He even explained to the scholar that he came here to learn about religion from him so he can guide his people back where he came from. So yeah, this time Omar was chill, okay? He was a jinn, but he didn't want to scare nobody. He didn't want to scare you, so you can sleep peacefully tonight. If you made it until here, then thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. And in case you didn't know, I have a YouTube channel called Mr. Nice Curls. This is the one, not the first one that pops up. This is the one. As you can see, I have more stories there. And a quick message to whoever has this fake channel right here. Like, hey, I stole your videos. Are we dead ass, bro? Like, seriously, delete that shit.
My name is Michelle, not Alina, and this is a story of how I have a stalker. So maybe a few months ago, I did not know that I had someone posting my photos and videos on social media when I was on private onto TikTok as the name Alina H or Els H. And at first I was receiving messages saying, hey, is this you, 1 2 3. At first I didn't care. I'm like, whatever, they can use my photos, it's not doing anything to me. Until now, I have to take it onto my account and let everyone know that it's not me, because they are starting drama with random people that I have no idea who they are. My name is Michelle Canoe. That's my full name. I'm not Alina Els H. I will tag the account if I'm not blocked. But they've been starting problems with people, random people, I don't know, and I have no arguments with anyone. I keep to myself, so I'm sorry if that account got to you guys, because I know it's going on people's lives and starting drama. People messaging me saying there's a fake account of you going around. They have videos and photos of me, which is very weird, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know how they received these videos and photos. And I also found out that they know what gym I go to and who I associate with. So there is a big stalker that I have no clue who this person is, and it is quite scary. But I don't know what to do. I've tried to report it. I've tried to get people to report it, but the account's just not getting taken down. So I thought maybe I'll just make a video and let you guys know if this comes on your For You page, or you come across my page and think that that account is my personal account. No, it's not. That's not me at all. I have nothing else to do with that account. But yeah, thought I'd let you guys know. Yeah.
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen.
Did the window
Sean.
break?
If there's anything creepier than abandoned places, it's definitely places that have been abandoned by Disney. After seeing some incredibly creepy photos of Discovery Island, I went down a rabbit hole, and of course, we have to talk about it. Now, if you didn't know, Discovery Island is the now abandoned island in Bay Lake at Walt Disney World. It originally opened as Treasure Island in 1974 before being renamed Discovery Island. But what's the story behind this place? Why was it abandoned? So back in the early 1900s, it was known as Raz Island, supposedly named after the family who owned it. According to the website Abandoned Florida, which has a lot of great information about this place, the Raz family used it for farming until it was eventually sold in the late 1930s to a man named Delmar Nicholson, also known as Radio Nick. When Radio Nick purchased the island, he renamed it Idle Bay Isle and lived there for about 20 years with his wife and, interestingly enough, their pet crane. After that, it changed hands, and eventually in the mid-60s, Disney bought it. The story goes that Walt Disney was flying over the land he wanted to buy for what would later become Walt Disney World, and when he saw this little little island in the middle of Bay Lake, he just knew that this was the place. Now, Disney's original idea for this island was to turn it into Blackbeard's Island, a full-on pirate-themed retreat, but somewhere along the way, the name changed to Treasure Island, and while the pirate theme did stick around, it didn't last long. Rather than your typical theme park experience, this was meant to feel like an exclusive escape with some inspiration pulled from Disney's Treasure Island film. There were plans for shipwrecks to explore all kinds of immersive details, but when Treasure Island officially opened in 1974, things had shifted. By this point, hundreds of tropical birds had been brought to the island, along with exotic plants and flowers, and the pirate theme was pretty much left to rot. Instead, Treasure Island opened as more of a bird sanctuary with just a few leftover hints of the original pirate idea, but really, it was more marketed as a tropical paradise. By the year 1978, the island just wasn't very popular with guests. According to the website allears.net, you had to purchase this special adventure ticket to even get access, and the only way to get there was by a few different boat options. It was kind of a hassle, and not a lot of people were making the trip. So that same year, Treasure Island got a little rebrand and reopened as Discovery Island. At that point, any references to pirates were completely scrapped, and the focus shifted entirely to the zoological side of things. The island became home to all kinds of animals, exotic birds, alligators, deer, you name it. They even had bird shows, a lot of different bird-themed places. It was like a mini wildlife park right in the middle of Bay Lake. The wildlife and zoological aspect of this park seemed to be working because in 1981, Disney actually was recognized for their conservation efforts when the park was officially accredited as a zoological park. But in 1989, things got pretty messy. The island's director and 4 of its employees were hit with several charges related to the mishandling and mistreatment of wild birds, mostly vultures, along with the destruction of nests and even the shooting of hawks and falcons. Apparently, Disney claimed that the team was just trying to relocate the birds that were landing on the island. Things got out of hand, some died. The vultures were also reportedly attacking other animals, pooping everywhere, just kind of causing chaos all around. But Disney made some changes, cleaned themselves up, avoided the charges, and never admitted to any wrongdoing. By 1998, the Animal Kingdom had opened, so between that and the island's low attendance, Disney just finally shut down Discovery Island in 1999, and since then, it's been completely abandoned. Honestly, we're probably just scratching the surface here. There's probably so much more buried in this story. As of today, the island sits completely abandoned. It is completely off limits. However, several urban explorers have attempted to access the island. Some have been successful, which is why we have all of these creepy photos, but others have definitely been caught, fined, even banned from Walt Disney World. I know Disney has a lot of other abandoned locations, so comment those down below if you want to see a video on it. Maybe I'll do another deep dive. And if there's any other abandoned structures that aren't Disney related, be sure to comment that below as well. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video.